From Hoth, it's the Rebel Scum Podcast, the tale of two galactic scoundrels talking into microphones about Star Wars. On today's show, Luke and Rey, and Rey and Luke. Plus, Never Tell Me the Odds, HOLO news, books and comics, and an all-new top 5 selected by one of you. Now, from the belly of a tauntaun, here are Brock and James.
Hey.
So, there was a Twitter or a Reddit AMA.
Yeah. Oh.
And apparently somebody asked if there was an opening crawl for Rogue One.
Cool.
And Gareth Edwards said yes. And then somebody tweeted at Gary Whitta, who wrote that opening crawl,
Yeah.
and said, Gary Whitta, we heard you wrote an opening crawl for Rogue One. Can you share? And Gary Whitta's response, no.
Oh.
Flat out, no. Hi, everyone. I'm James. This is
Brock.
And this is the Rebel Scum Podcast, episode 33, coming to you via YouTube. Via the YouTube. Brock, how's your week been going?
Oh, good. I feel like there's a lot of stuff happening in the Star Wars universe these days. Did you see what Dave Filoni said about the Rebels?
I did not.
Okay, I will hold on to it because I think we're going to talk about Rebels today, right?
We are.
Sweet.
We have Rebels. We're talking about Rebels. Luke and Rey. It is a very Luke and Rey heavy show, but we want.
Yes.
But it's been great the last little while. I want to thank all of you for watching and tuning in and listening to what we have to say on the Rebel Scum Podcast channel here for you, discussing whatever you want to hear us discuss.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get right into the show because we have a busy day ahead of us. It is snowing like like Canada in Canada.
Yeah. I'm waiting for a tauntaun to go by.
There might be. But anyway, we're coming to you actually a little bit earlier than normal. We're recording this a little bit early not because of the weather, because life sometimes gets in the way.
And I have to work.
And Brock has to work. And life goes on.
But will this drop the same time? Or are you going to put it up early?
Well, if you're watching it early, you know that we didn't lie off the top. So let's go right into it, because last week, every time we record this on a Wednesday, we're recording this on the Tuesday this week. But whenever we record it on a Wednesday, we always miss something.
Something drops.
Something drops as we're doing it, and I come out and I look at my iPad or my phone, and I'm like, Last week, the minute we stopped recording, I opened up my email, and I had an email from my father, of all people. My dad sent me a link to something, and I was just like, let's see what weird Star Wars link he sent me this time.
Did he say it started with, hey, scumbag?
It said it started with, hey, scumbag. So I open it up, and it says, Luke's first words revealed. And I was like, Brock, we have to re-record. And you said, get out of my house.
Has that new phone? Who did?
But anyway, so who are you?
Who
was what
are you?
Was said was the first words. And then we found out later that it actually was not the first words. It's actually they're inside one of those huts, those stone huts that we see. Apparently they're in there. And then the whole description of this trailer that they showed to the Disney shareholders at the shareholder meeting was kind of revealed in this, which was very similar to what we already knew about the trailer, like the rumored trailer that was coming out. The Scavenger Scum, I believe number 3 actually kind of talks a little bit about it in regards to Finn and Phasma. And both of what was said in there is actually what was mentioned in this. So when you first heard Who Are You, what were your initial thoughts? I was beside you, so I know your reaction, but what was your initial thoughts?
I was like, like half the internet theories have just gone out the window.
But now, when you find out that it's not the first thing he says, now what are your thoughts? Because now those theories are back.
I don't know. I almost ignored as much as I could of this because I don't want my movie-going experience to be ruined.
It's going to be ruined.
Especially because we do a podcast.
And it's 2017 and nothing goes without showing up on the internet.
I mean, cool. I mean, yeah, if it's the first thing he says in the movie, then it means one thing. If it's later on, like they've spoken and now it's like, who are you? So it's sort of, it's an interesting question, seeing how Rey's going to be a character that's going to tackle between the dark side and the light side. So, like, who are you exactly? Why are you doing this?
And one of the reports I read said he asked, "Who are you?" And then the next shot, according to this one report, I'm not sure if this is how it.
I didn't read it. Was this from Making Star Wars?
This was, I think, no, it was Slash Film.
Slash Film.
Somebody contacted Slash Film after all this.
Wow.
Apparently, the guy was tweeting while he was watching it.
This is insane.
So yeah, so this guy like called Slash Film or emailed them or something like that, and Slash Film was awesome, and he went to them and he said, "This is it." So they had this whole story, which I read the next day. I got this email from my dad, which was like some kind of weird small newspaper or something like that, and then this one is what I got going on there. So, but what I believe what it said, the first thing I read was it said that he said, "Who are you?" To which she turns on the lightsaber and starts like wielding it, which I thought was kind of cool because that kind of, and this is still when I didn't know that this was after. This is when I thought it was still his first words. If that was his first words, then she does that. I'm like, ooh, she's saying she's a badass. And I was kind of like really on board with that because she would be a badass. And she is a badass. And I think she's going to be a badass. And apparently there is that one shot where her hand is on the dirt and you see pebbles come up around her. And yeah, she's a Mary Sue. The dumbest. Oh, God. Anyway, so what are your thoughts on that now? Like, who are you wielding a lightsaber using the Force? Apparently, it was compared to Man of Steel style, where she's when he learns how to fly. There was something similar was shown.
Right. I think that's interesting. Like I already said, the movie's going to be about identity. Like it's going to be because we have these characters and we know nothing about them. Now it's going to explain them, and then just the status quo in the galaxy in general. Her hand on the ground and rocks floating, that's awesome because Star Wars is an amazing movie. It created a lot of new ways of doing things, but we've never been really able to see that the Force unleashed. We see it in video games, the Force unleashed. Or on the shows. We don't see the Jedis doing a ton with things around them. You know what I mean? There isn't. That's sort of so. I mean, the Force is a cosmic thing, so why couldn't they control their environment around? That'd be awesome. Just to see the effect that this power can have on.
They could do so much more with technology too when making a movie that now it's almost no holds bar on what they can do. And I think they might have to even rein it in just a little bit. Be like, whoa, maybe we're going too far with the Force. Let's bring it back just a little bit because as cool as the Force is, it can't be all powerful at the same time, right? It's got to be kind of cool. But I think watching, because we saw Luke learn the Force, but I think you brought this up before, where it's kind of like, meh, okay, he learns it, whatever. But now we can actually see somebody learn the Force, and it could be like really cool and intense and different.
And I know we kind of see it in Clone Wars, but I think it'll be a different effect to see an actual person doing it, and they're not actually doing it. But you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of things there's a whole new thing. Because like we've said it before, like the movies are what decide how this universe works. Yeah. So, yeah, that sounds awesome.
I think Andrew brought this up on our Shadows of the Empire thing, where we were talking about the possibility of Shadows of the Empire being a movie again, and then I think Rob brought up it being an animated feature or something. Yeah. And Andrew said, you know what the problem is like when he went to go see the Ninja Turtles cartoon that came out in the late 2000s. Oh yeah. He said he wasn't as excited because it's a cartoon, and as good as cartoons can be, they're not live action. They're always something like just not as good as live action. So yeah, we could see it on Rebels and Clone Wars, but when you see a human being, even though it's pretty much the same technology goes into drawing a rock being lifted as it in a movie, there's something about the live action aspect of seeing someone do this and having something.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of any like existing movies that kind of do that, like just sort of. I'm sure, I guess the closest would be like an Avengers film, maybe. I don't know. I just can't think of, in comparing it to what we've been told Rey can do. Like, I don't know. I think it'll be. I mean, do we really have to live in a world where maybe the Star Wars movie won't be that good? I'm like, I don't know.
How dare you say that?
I mean, you can say whatever you want about the prequels, but they still exist and they are what they are. It's a different time, too. It's like everything about the original trilogy is gritty. So then when we compare it to the prequel where it's like, this is how it all used to work. Now it's like it was like a mystery of putting things together. Like, why is this and why is that? So now it's sort of like we've vanquished the villain, and now we have to restart. So what do we do next? So it's a whole, like we've said before, it's like maybe there's no Jedi, maybe there's no Sith anymore. Although we know there is no Sith. Well, we assume there's no Sith anymore, but we don't know.
Okay, I have this. So Empire's End, it says that Palpatine and the acolytes of the Beyond were hearing a calling from the unknown regions. It was like the dark side or something was calling to them. They didn't quite know what, but it was darkness, and everything was dark and blah 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 blah. So let's say, so Snoke, if that is Snoke calling from them, whether he is pure darkness or he is a being that also acknowledges the dark side and is one with the dark, and he was calling out because he wants to come into this galaxy, but he needs transportation to get here or something like that. So he would be an extension of Palpatine, which I think is actually a cool way to go because, you know, we talked about like how do you go bigger than Palpatine? Well, you can't really go bigger, and you should not necessarily go bigger, but if you have an extension of your main villain, all of a sudden that is acceptable for this new one, and it's just as big a threat now because the threat can't be lesser than Palpatine, but it can't. I mean, it could be greater, but then you lessen the originals. So now you have to find a balance, and I think that's a good balance. So now Rey is going to train with Luke to become a Jedi.
Yeah,
but let's say Rey. Leia's not a Jedi. Rey is not.
Rey Liotta.
Rey now, I said. Leia is never going to be a Jedi. She will be strong with the Force, but she will not be a Jedi. She's never going to have a lightsaber. She's not going to. But that's just.
Yeah.
Even if you think that's going to happen for the sake of this conversation, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So let's say now, Luke knows of Snoke, and he knows how powerful Snoke is in the dark side, and he cannot be defeated. And Luke says, "Look, I can't defeat Snoke. I can train you." But you can't defeat Snoke, and the two of us combined cannot defeat Snoke.
Right.
We need more Jedi.
Yeah.
We need more understanding. Do you think that The Last Jedi, on top of finding out who you are, could also be about finding more Force-sensitive people, creatures in the galaxy, to rebuild this Jedi Order once again that failed, but maybe find people that could help now? Because... do you think that Episode 9 could be a giant war that we've seen in Lord of the Rings, in Narnia, in Alice in Wonderland? Everything now, it's either coming from the sky or there's a big giant battle at the end of the final one, right? That's how it is. Do you think that's a possibility that Luke and Rey could go on an adventure together to try to find more Force-sensitive individuals to train and take down Snoke?
Yeah, sure. I don't see why not. I mean, are you asking because the title is Last Jedi and everyone's just assuming that's the end?
No, I'm asking because
just throwing it out there?
I'm just throwing it out there because I was thinking, you know, they're gonna get trained, and we know that the set's in Croatia and this, and I was like, and we brought it up, and other people brought it up, where there are going to be more Force sensitive people out there, more Force sensitive individuals. So, I mean, the one negative towards us is that he failed in his Jedi Order. So why would he try to do it so quickly again? But if Rey can somehow talk him into it, and now to defeat Snoke, this is what you need. It just. We have not seen a large group of Jedi together since the prequels, but they all sat down in a council, and I love the prequels, but they didn't really do anything together. Yeah. Right now you can have this like Robin Hood and his merry men type situation where, or maybe is Luke alone on the island?
You've asked so many questions.
I'm going on a tangent.
I think it's very possible. I think we could definitely see a new creation of a Jedi Order of some sort. Do
you want to?
I feel like the characters need to be fleshed out first. So it's sort of like, yes, I like Rey because she's like, oh, she's like Luke, or she's left, and I'm like, okay, so what happens next?
What now? Yeah.
Like who's Finn? Is he a clone? Like, what is the system that they've created these First Order troopers? And let's know more about Poe, and then who is Snoke? What is Kylo's journey going to be? There's so many things that need to be answered. And then, of course, why did Luke leave? So that's a movie all to itself. Would there be, like you said, build to an Episode 9 battle? I mean, we're going to get battles regardless.
Yeah, but I just mean like a big
But what you're
one,
saying with
where they need an army versus an army, and the New Republic's kind of gone to hell, and... Yeah. You know,
I think we're gonna see some kind of spectacle. These movies are all about that, visuals. But I don't know, because it's hard to say. I would like it, but at the same note, it's like, well, what went wrong the first time? And that was it. Was it supposed to be 30 years between Jedi and?
Yeah, it's 30 years, but
Like-
again, when Ben Solo turns, it has to be like 26 years after, or 27 years. Like, no, it has to be. Yeah, he has to be around 26, and he's 29, 30 in The Force Awakens, which means he was born right after. I think he was born. So Luke hasn't been in hiding that long, and Kylo Ren hasn't been the head of the Knights of Ren and all that for that long.
I mean, the real question should be, does Luke know about Snoke? And I think we've already started posited on that. Because if you've read Bloodline, we realize we sort of introduced to how the First Order came about. So it's always, and then we also know from the movie, and then from what was the synopsis of episode 8, where it's like Snoke has revealed the First Order, like First Order, like them blowing up the Hosnian Prime system.
That was their coming out party.
That was it. That was a big deal. And it's comparable to the Death Star blowing up Alderaan. Like, no one knew what it could do, and then all of a sudden, oh crap. So the question is, maybe Luke has known that Snoke has been on, he sensed some darkness in the galaxy. And maybe there was a showdown at some point. Maybe that is our cool battle. You know what I mean? In episode 8, you could do that, where his Jedi, Luke and his Jedi Academy, and Snoke and his Knights of Ren. I mean, think about that. That'd be really, really cool, where it's like they're going to have this battle, but because they're of these two ideologies that not everyone really embraces, and it's sort of a myth in the galaxy, so they have their battle behind closed doors. It's sort of like in Marvel, it's called Secret Wars. Where like nobody knows about it, and if it gone the wrong way, the world would have like ended or been totally affected, right? So maybe they have that cool battle. Like maybe Luke has 100 Jedi behind him, and then it's decimated down to him and Kylo in some rainy battlefield. I mean, it's very possible.
It could be. I'd be down for that too.
Because we don't know who Rey is or why she's on Jakku. But maybe there's got to be some huge like trauma or tragedy that forced someone to be like, okay, we're going to abandon her. Not on Hosnian Prime, not on Coruscant, not where anyone we respect lives. We're going to put her on Jakku.
Which is shrouded in darkness.
I mean, it works with what we've kind of said, like, perhaps she is the child of the light side or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like, man, I think we've said not like Anakin, but sort of just like is pure light from that side. So that would make sense. We got to hide this golden child.
Yeah.
To the point where she doesn't even know what she is.
Yeah, and I like this idea that Winter Star brought up that I think she said it was mentioned in the junior novelization. Oh, Rey is left there, and that ship takes off, and it's implied that ship gets blown up.
Oh, okay.
That ship gets taken out. I believe. I could be wrong. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's... But either way, it's somewhere it's implied that that's what happens.
Right.
That is fascinating, because now you've taken this and you've said, hey, she's waiting for these people to come, but these people she's waiting for are dead.
Right.
So... There's her origin story right there, and now we don't need to learn any more about her. That tells us enough. Well, I mean, you need to know that she's a light or whatever, but like if she is, but for that alone, there's your story right there.
Yeah.
We don't need. She doesn't have to be anyone's daughter if that's the situation.
I feel the battle of light and dark is always going to be hidden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's something I said last week when I basically said a lot of characters were stupid characters and. But with Palpatine, it's like, he's cool. It's very cool. But he's a dude in a cloak, and he looks like a gremlin. But somehow he's in charge of this huge empire. And everyone's just totally fine with him just sort of like hanging out in a throne room or just not being present. He doesn't look like a military person. He looks like some wizard you meet on the top of a hill.
Well, because he got injured by the Jedi. The Jedi did that to him.
No, I understand why he is that way, but you know what I mean? He doesn't, when you look at him, he doesn't fit the mold of the rest of the Empire. Like, he fits a Sith, and I get it, like, I guess he doesn't have to hide it anymore, but you know what I mean? Like, if he looked like he used to look, totally different. Even if his face was still that way, but he was wearing, like, his, like, velvety, whatever he would wear in
maybe that's what he
prequels.
wears in the Senate.
Maybe. I don't know. Good. That's actually a good point.
We don't know. We may never know.
But you know what I mean. Even like think of when you first meet the Emperor in the throne room, and then he has his Imperial Guard in the red. Like that makes sense. That looks like a stormtrooper. I mean, you could put whoever you want in there, but like, okay. But my whole point of bringing it up is like that whole battle between Luke and Vader and the Emperor is all done with no one watching. Mm-hmm. Everything, if you think about it, all the big events in the Skywalker saga is like it's behind closed doors.
It's true, and that's why it's so easy for people to not believe in Jedi or Sith and just
exactly
and call them sorcerer tricks and not have an understanding because it's all done. And that's a good point.
So then, in that sense, I could totally accept some like Jedi Knights of Ren battle or whatever you want to call it. You know, call it the Battle of Wills or something like that. Like
that'd be cool.
I could totally understand it because how many planets are just inhabited and they're just like, we'll just have a battle here. Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's totally acceptable, and then it would sort of bring back to what your original question was like, could we see something cool like that? Yes. That'd be awesome.
I would love to see a new Jedi Order, not as big as it was in the prequels, but like a small group of like 9 or 10 men, women, alien Jedi with their lightsabers going up against the Knights of Ren and Snoke and Kylo Ren and just having a cool battle like that. Or maybe even 3 or 4 against 3 or 4. It doesn't have to be super grand, but something cool just to see like Jedi in their prime again.
And then Ben Solo going to the dark side is how that battle is lost. It's sort of maybe Ben is basically Ben is Anakin and Luke is Obi-Wan in that situation. It's basically a similar, well, not similar battle because they don't have them, but you know what I mean, that betrayal where it kind of destroys them.
I kind of liken Ben more to Luke in that Ben has Luke's path and more than Anakin's path. Right. So he's like, this is what Luke would have become had he
turned to the dark side.
Yeah, had he killed Vader, kind of like. That's what I think. I love the new characters are great.
Oh yeah, I mean, whatever adventure they go on, it's awesome.
I will say I don't think Finn or Poe need more fleshing out necessarily. Like they need more fleshing out. I'm not, but I think like where they are, I'm fine with where they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Rey, we need to know more about Rey.
Exactly.
Kylo Ren, there's more that we should know.
Yeah.
But those two, like as much as like Finn being force sensitive, which we have on with Fatty Fan Theories, Andres Garcia, if you want to watch that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me if he's force sensitive. He's a wicked character.
Yeah.
I love Finn. I don't like if he was supposed to be and they took it away, but whatever. But like, it's cool, and he doesn't need to be force sensitive. Han Solo was my favorite character as a kid, and he's not force sensitive, and he doesn't even believe in the Force. So I don't need Finn to be either. I think Finn is fine the way he is. Poe is fine the way he is. You can flesh them out more. That's fine. Obviously, you have to. They have to go on journeys, and they have to evolve. But I'm saying, like, from a point of view, Rey is, of all the characters, Rey's the one that we need to know more about, because like we said, the biggest flaw is that Jedi mind trick where I know Kylo Ren went in her head and unlocked it, but that's not explained to anybody. Like we can all accept that as what had happened when he does looks for the map. He unlocks things in her mind.
Right.
Or we can even tell ourselves, well, she was trained as a child. But was she trained as a child?
Yeah.
We don't know. And because we don't know, we're making it up and we're accepting it because we're Star Wars fans.
Right.
But these are flaws in the movie that, you know, when they're answered, they won't be flaws anymore.
Yeah. Exactly.
But right now, these are weak points.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why Rey of all of them needs the fleshing out. Yeah. And then Luke, we have to know why for 30 years he was, first of all, looking for Jedi artifacts all over the place.
Yeah.
You've brought up he went to the first Jedi temple looking for something. What was he looking for? Aaron brought up on Scavenger Scum number 3 that maybe Rey is what he was looking for the whole time. I think we talked about it last week too. It could be, and not necessarily Rey. He's not like, I'm going to the island for Rey, but he's like, there's something I need to get on the island.
Look at it this way. I mean, we don't know if he's able to talk to Obi-Wan and Yoda after the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
We don't know where it goes. I mean, very easily they could pop up again, because Frank Oz apparently was asked if he's in the new one, and he said yes. He said he wouldn't answer yes or no.
He's not allowed to talk about it.
Of course not.
Which we're going to talk about,
because that'd be huge.
Exactly, and that's going to be mentioned this week on Scavengers.
He was probably asked if you're in Force Awakens, and he probably didn't tell it because like nobody knew about that thing.
Yeah.
But my easy answer to why is Luke searching for stuff, because he has no one to tell him the answer.
Yeah.
So he has to go find the history. He has no he has no archives to look at and learn about the Jedis of the past. He has to go find these things that might have been destroyed or spread across the galaxy.
And also, even if he still can talk with Obi-Wan or Yoda, maybe they don't know those answers either. So he has to find further. He has to understand, because if Snoke is pure darkness, maybe Yoda and Obi-Wan don't know enough about that. He has to go and learn the old ways, like go back even further to find these things out. Like there could be any answer to that.
Yeah, for sure.
And also it could be Rey. He doesn't know he's there for Rey. She's the answer to the puzzle, right? She's the final piece to whatever puzzle he's looking for.
Is she the fifth element?
She is
or the sixth element? What is that movie? The fifth element.
He's been replays with Bruce Willis.
A multipass.
But I think there's so many questions that need to be answered that should be answered.
For sure. Like, I mean, how many books are we reading? We're like, they know something.
Every single one. And I'm going to keep reading. You know what? I can't wait for Inferno Squad, which I feel like is not going to give us answers or anything to anything. It's just going to be a fun side story, and I'm going to love every second of that, because I love the Empire. I love watching that side. Like, I love Stormtroopers, and I'm really, really stoked for that.
Would you be mad if after this new trilogy comes out, would you be mad if they reissued every novel that came out and like with the full story, like they added stuff that they took out?
Oh yeah.
You have to buy the next book, the book again.
It's like when you buy a book and then a year later, like, with a bonus chapter. Why?
I mean, that's like George Lucas's mythology of fame. Like, how many times has he remade his one movie?
Yeah, but a book and a movie are different. A movie takes 2 hours. A book takes 2 weeks, 2 days. Like, you know what I mean? There's a longer commitment to a book.
Oh, sure.
Although, you know what? I probably would, and I would just read that extra chapter. Although on like a digital copy, they could just insert it in there, and you'd be like, great, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Actually, they do that on Amazon. If you have Amazon Kindle, I had a book on there, and I could update it if I wanted, and you could refresh it, and you would get like, so I could add chapters as I went and stuff like that, which is kind of cool.
Oh man.
Anyway, let's move on. That's our Rey and Luke talk. I want to see more Luke and Rey. We're gonna get more Luke and Rey. There's no argument from anything. I think it would be kind of cool if it was an adventure film where they go on a journey looking for someone else.
For sure. Like, that could be the whole movie. That could be it. Like,
I
mean,
spin-off.
when you were saying, what if Finn is force sensitive? The second you make Finn force sensitive, you might as well just throw every First Order and the Resistance and New Republic out the window, because your movie is just going to be about Jedi and the Knights of Ren. That's it. Because everyone has to have the Force. Like, no. Like,
Isn't it more impressive when your hero is not Force sensitive and he's as awesome as Finn and he can almost hold his own?
Exactly.
Kylo Ren was injured, sure, but he puts up a good fight against Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
From working at sanitation to putting up a fight against Kylo Ren, he does a pretty good job. Injured or not, he knows what he's doing. Rebels came out this week. This is our recap of Rebels. Okay, so I watched Rebels.
So the new one,
Secret Agent, Double Dragon or whatever.
Double Agent.
I gotta say one thing. What's his name? AP5.
AP5.
Huge fan.
Look it up.
Huge Alan Rickman fan. Love his voice.
Yeah. It's not Alan Rickman.
I know it's not Alan, but it sounds
it's like him.
That. Well, of course. Anyway, that ending. By the way, we're gonna do spoilers because that ending when he's floating through space and he starts singing.
Finally,
I was
true happiness, and there's just like these like space angel fish.
I don't know what happened. Did they need to add an extra 30 seconds to the show? I'm not sure, but I laughed. I actually laughed because it did not fit in Star Wars whatsoever.
No.
But they did it.
It was great. It was so great.
I loved it.
It's and that's what makes that show fantastic, that they'll just throw these things in and like because you're like, oh no, AP5 and then everything gets good. It's like, where's AP5? And then he's just floating and you're like, oh no, that's so sad. But then it becomes a happy thing. You're like wow. He's like, thank you. He's like, oh no.
And they just come and it's like the greatest animation too, because it just kind of swoops in, catches him, shuts and drives off. And you're like, what?
Oh man!
But an episode, it was Josh Gad was in this episode.
What was
he was the main?
In the
he was the low-by guy. So as a whole, we talked about this last week. You have the Fulcrum storyline, you have the Darth Maul storyline, and you have the Sabine storyline,
Yeah.
and then you have these filler episodes, and this was definitely a filler episode.
Yeah.
100% filler episode. And the thing is, it started off and they were like, guess what? We're going to get in there and we're going to reprogram the droid and we're going to find the rebels. And I was like, okay, it's a filler episode, but it's going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it didn't go anywhere. It was like,
well,
look, I love the episode. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they get the droid, they follow the droid, and then all of a sudden everything blows up and everything they worked on that whole episode is now destroyed and kind of,
yeah.
It was if you take that episode out of Rebels this season.
The Instagram Star Wars, or sorry, the Star Wars Instagram feeds that do the facts and all that, they really mine this one for facts. Like they said, like TIE fighter pilots never put on or take off their helmet while they're flying, which is what Wedge says when he's pretending to be a TIE fighter pilot, or well, AP5 says to him.
Yeah.
And then also how the monitoring ship, that's one ways the Empire was able to find where rebels were. So there's that's kind of a neat explanation of like how hard it was to rebel against this empire. Do we need it? I don't know. But I brought it up earlier. I don't know if it was on Twitter. I don't know if it was like a AMA or he just said it. Dave Filoni was asked how we should react to filler episodes like this. And he said, yeah, it's not the Darth Maul story we've been waiting on. It's not the Mandalorian. It's not Fulcrum or Thrawn. But it's like it's just as good. Like it's like I just said. It's like it gives you these little pieces, slices of the galaxy we've never explored. And how else are we going to do it without doing that? So it has its value. But then in the same, I found it on Instagram. It was like. It's like, hey, look, it's all for fun. Like, it doesn't, why does everything have to be answers to some grand scheme? Like, can it just, one of the things you fall in love with Star Wars is like, hey, we're going to go on this cool ship called the Millennium Falcon with space pirates and a huge bear that has a crossbow. And we're going to go save the princess. Also, you can move stuff with your mind. I almost cursed. I'm in. I don't need to know that, like, oh, Luke was the son of the greatest Jedi who betrayed them all. Like, that's great too, but like, that is why people like stuff like Maz's bar, the cantina, Mos Eisley Cantina. You're like, oh, what is this? I want to know more. Like, I read a book about all those background characters in Mos Eisley Cantina because I was like, that's cool. What's that? What's an Ithorian? I don't know. But anyways, so like we gotta look at it like that way. It's a great show. Like these characters that have never been in movies, I find interesting, right? So, but then Dave Filoni also said that all these filler episodes, the Darth Maul Obi-Wan story is gonna make up for all of it. So we have a crazy thing coming our way.
I don't mind the filler episodes. The only thing is the pacing is so off. With like it starts with Darth Maul. And then Thrawn, and then filler, and then Thrawn kind of sprinkles in once in a while, and then Maul. We haven't seen Maul for a while now. It's been since like November.
Oh, yeah. And he started this season.
Yeah, like why not push that stuff later? I mean, I know you want to start strong, but why not start with Thrawn early and then push this stuff later? Is what I'm like. That's what I don't understand. It's just. The way they put the episodes together is confusing at times. Like
I don't know. It's like we don't need more Chopper. I mean, yes, we do, but like
I think Chopper sells toys.
I mean, Chopper's a great character. I love these Chopper episodes, but like we could easily get that character development in normal episodes. I guess I don't know. AP5, cool character.
He's one of my favorite droids.
Yeah, but like. Again, do we need a full story of him?
That's the second one of those, like, this season.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like, it's happening. And I like it. It's fun. And I love the song at the end. But at the same time, you tease so much. You're doing so much. It's not even about answers to anything. It's just about continuing the path that you're on. Like, Kanan hasn't been on in 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Sabine, we know what happened. When Kanan go with her, Rey's parents.
Boom. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. It's still a good show. Yeah, like they could have done a whole season on Fulcrum.
Yep.
Fulcrum and Thrawn.
I just don't feel like we learned anything extra this
Who's the major villain in this? You know, like is it Thrawn? Is it Is it
Maul?
Is it Maul? Is it one of those Mandalorians?
Well, at the beginning, the guy said, "Oh, Thrawn's gonna love my knowledge." I'm like, "Great!" And then nothing comes of anything. Like, it would have been cool if maybe we'll find out next week. Who knows? But it would have been cool if something was hinted at that Thrawn got something out of this, like just a little piece of information made its way to Thrawn. That is what I would have liked to have seen added to this episode.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It doesn't have to give me an answer. It has to enhance the journey of these characters and the story arc of the season, which I feel there might be too many story arcs this season. I still love the show. It's a great show. I'm going to watch it next week.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I get it on my phone, so it doesn't really matter. All right, let's move on. Anything else you want to say?
No, I love it. So keep up the good work. Never tell me.
We're on to Never Tell Me the Odds. Today's odds are brought to you by Rebel Scum Podcast.
Squarespace. If you need a new website, Squarespace.
Oh, man.
They don't sponsor us.
Oh, what? We got to get that sponsorship going. All right, let's put the first odd. The odds of Finn being force sensitive.
Oh, 25%.
It's pretty high.
I mean, I think everybody could be force sensitive.
Well, the force is in everybody, but it's the ability to tap into it is what we're doing.
Why? Like, it's...
I'm not saying why. I'm just saying. By the way, the Unleashed about Finn sensitive has a lot of comments. People are very strongly agree with him being force sensitive or think that he's not. Like, there's really no middle ground. It's yes or no, and it's a hard yes or no.
I mean, it can't hurt, but like at the same note, it's like, why? Why bother? Like, well, we've had situations where there's multiple force users in the prequels, but no one's like dying for that, are they? I mean, well, I'm sure the comments would be like, "You're an idiot."
You'll get that.
Yeah,
anyway.
if I'm an idiot, then why aren't more people watching Clone Wars on Netflix so that they keep it? I don't know, but anyways, if we're following the formula, I want to follow a formula, but they could just turn this whole franchise on its head for all they want.
Yeah, and I feel like they could. They might be.
I don't hate it, but I'm more interested to find out like why. I don't know if they'll ever explore it. I want to know why Finn is Finn. Like, why doesn't he have a name? Why is he bred to be a stormtrooper? And then what happens that he can't follow orders?
Well,
besides,
in the Aftermath trilogy, we learned that Brendel Hux, General Hux's father, has a program where you take children away, you steal kids,
right,
brainwash them, and then they become your. That's why
Hitler Youth. I guess
that's why they have no names or anything. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, and I believe it was on the Urban Acolytes channel. He does a review of Empire's End, and he kind of thinks that Ray Sloan. I believe he believes that might be somebody else, but anyway, that Ray Sloan could be Finn's mother. Andrew Fantasia and I are going to do an Unleashed on Ray Sloan.
Cool.
Because you don't know too much about her.
No.
Which is why I don't know if it works for her to be, because unless you've read these or the Kanan comics that she's in, or the novels she's a novel person.
But like, what is the rationale for that besides she's a black person?
Well, she's on the ship on the Eclipse, so the timing could work. I don't think she is necessarily
okay. But there's no other reason besides the fact that she's black. I don't need to get political here, but like, let's get a little bit.
Well, that's why. Remember when people were like, "Well, no, he's a Calrissian." Like, stop, man, stop.
Yeah, who cares?
He's just Finn. He's awesome. He's Finn. All right, next on. I'm going 19%.
Cool.
Sure. Odds of another purple lightsaber on screen in the Skywalker saga, not in a spin-off, in the main films.
I'm going to go 100% because screw Samuel L. Jackson. Like, there's no reason. There's zero reason.
Well,
besides that George Lucas wants to be friends with Samuel L. Jackson.
No, but the reason could be, though, if there's no other Jedi other than Luke and Rey, where does this purple lightsaber come from?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. We're going to get more Jedi? Are you kidding? Of course they're going to make more.
Hey, there's more Jedi, 100%. 65%.
We're going to get 10 different types of stormtroopers, more Sith, or Knights of Ren, more Jedi, and more background characters we know nothing about. Because they need to make action figures. I know it's not just the whole thing about the movie, but come on.
65%.
65, all right.
All right, last odd is the odds of a new ship replacing the Millennium Falcon.
This was interesting when I read it. So are you saying in the movies? So are you saying within this saga? Or is this the last time we see Millennium Falcon?
I think after this trilogy, this is the last time we see it. Because what I'm thinking is, not that I'm thinking this. This is the idea for this odd came from, well, eventually what's old is old, and you need something new.
Yeah.
And are they going to be like, this is the new ship. This is the cool new ship that we want you to follow on. The Falcon blows up or something. Like, that's all. That's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily, I would never want to see that happen because the Falcon can live on forever, which is why my odd is 35%.
I want to go full Brock on this for one reason. One, I want the Millennium Falcon to never go away. It's fantastic. It's like, it's, you know, it's the ship that you grew up and you're like, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. When I grew up in St. Catharines, I don't know if you remember this park when you went to school there. It's on the north side, but they had a metal star. Instead, our jungle gym was a metal spaceship. It was so unsafe, but it was the crazy. It doesn't exist anymore because it's so unsafe. But it was like it looked more like the Enterprise. But anytime you got it, they're like, this is what it would feel like to be in the Millennium Falcon. So, anyways, I would always want the Millennium Falcon present. But when I read this, I was like, it would be interesting if it just got retired and then say in Star Wars 17 when we get there in 20 years, maybe like there's like a life or death situation. We haven't seen the Millennium Falcon for like 8 or 9 movies, and all of a sudden it swoops in, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
So that is a good reason for retiring it. But it's a Millennium Falcon, so I don't know. 50-50 because I could go either way. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's hard to say. I mean, it could stick around forever. They never have to retire, but at the same time, you want to sell more toys. And how many times are you going to change the dish on the Millennium Falcon?
But like that could be the way to just kill your audience by having it blown up in the second one at the end. Instead of now, even if there's no people in it, maybe like there's a droid in it we don't care about that's piloting it. And
what if R2 and 3PO?
Oh,
and
yeah,
they all go out in like one big explosion. I got it.
They sacrifice themselves and it gets blown up. Like that's not killing off a character, but like that's almost the exact same like vibe. You're like, what?
And this is our new ship. It's a jumper from Jakku.
Or really piss off the fans and blow it up in the first 10 minutes of the 9th movie.
And you know who blew it up? Watto.
Oh,
you some kind of Jedi. Let's move on to the HOLO news. Live from Coruscant.
HOLO news, everybody's favorite news, provided to you by my voice. Today's first story, Rogue One.
It's a way for me to always put Rogue One into the podcast.
Rogue One. Okay, so it's been revealed, I think it was like the day after last week's podcast. I read when I got this, I was like, oh, I read the story. So, as we all know, Rogue One had a massive reshoot. So, a lot of the stuff we saw in trailers early on did not actually occur in the movie, which was kind of neat. I kind of enjoyed that. You're like, oh, we had no clue. I think they should do that. I know it's super expensive to do that, but I think they should do that with all movies. But one key scene was Jyn Erso in what you just saw there in a Imperial unit. I don't think it's a TIE fighter pilot. It's like one of the engineer guys in the black uniform, and we do see her wear it in the movie. But that scene where she's in a hallway with the lights all behind her and she turns around, it's like, what will you be is when it's said. It's like, oh. So you're like, kind of like just to screw you to the fans, it's like maybe she's evil. But obviously we figured out, I think pretty early on that was, well, she's just in a costume. We've seen Rebels in costume, in Imperial costume. It's not a big deal. So anyways, it was revealed, and I believe it's going to be part of the DVD when it comes out, is that shot where she's in that hallway and turns like that dramatically was all like luck of the, like it just happened while they were shooting. They were getting ready and what's her name?
Jyn Erso?
Yeah, no, but what's her actual name?
Felicity Jones.
Felicity Jones, thank you. Felicity Jones just happened to be walking down the hall, and the lighting crew just turned it on.
Yeah.
And she turned and just like they weren't shooting, but then Gareth Edwards was like, "Oh, we need to do that again." So, cool fun fact, like stuff just happens organically. It's not all everything we see doesn't just. It's not some master plan. It's just.
A lot of it is a master plan.
Oh, for sure. But, like, that's kind of a cool shot. It wasn't in the movie, but whatever.
It doesn't have to be in the movie. It's a great trailer shot.
So, yeah. And Construction of our new Star Wars theme parks in both Orlando and California Disney World Land is slowly coming about. And one big thing was revealed through, I believe, Twitter, was that they are constructing the AT&T Verizon, no, the AT-ATs that will be life size for the park. Because they showed a picture of like what looks like the body of an AT-AT. That's really awesome. Though reading this article, I learned that they already have like a Disney experience thing at Orlando, which we need to go to when we go to Celebration. But they already have that where there's a full size AT and you can stand outside. But I don't know if like this one you could actually get into.
Oh my god! Can you imagine if you got? Oh. It'd be kind of cool if you could go into it and then it was like a virtual reality type where you get to control. It never moves, but you feel like you're moving and you're controlling.
This whole park could just be like one long walking tour where you're not like nothing really happens, but you just like imagine it's like you walk down like where when you see them like. When they're, I don't know, like it's a docking hatch for them or whatever. Like you see it in Rogue One where the AT-CTs line up with those high things so that you can load. Well, they load, or you know what I mean, so the pilot can get in. Yeah. So it's like a ramp that you walk across, and you just walk into the AT&T, and then you go across, and then you go to an ATST. I don't know, like, but the thing about that. Because it's Disney, and usually it's like gotta be rides and you gotta be interactive. Why? This whole park could just be like walk through a cantina.
We've never been to Harry Potter World.
That's true. I mean, it's the same idea. So
yeah. So I don't know what that's like, but they say this is gonna be like that, but like 100 times more.
Oh, it looks amazing. So
yeah,
it's supposed to open in 2019. The
same year as the next celebration.
Oh, that'd be perfect. So it's awesome.
I can't wait.
Captain Phasma gets a new weapon. I read this one too, was non-impressed about it, but I was like, okay, cool.
I think they just want to make Phasma cool.
In my favorite Star Wars info site, Making Star Wars, has revealed that Captain Phasma will get a new weapon, specifically a spear of some sort. So we're assuming
which sounds a lot like the last Starfighter when the Empire guy had
Exactly. So we should expect to see some hand by hand. No.
Hand to hand.
Hand to hand. Thank you. Hand to hand. I'm gonna make sure I sleep before I do these things. Hand to hand combat between Phasma and someone.
Do you think Phasma will kill Finn?
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Okay, you wanna make Phasma redeem Phasma?
Yeah.
You kill Finn.
Yeah.
She could be a turncoat still.
True, but it should be good because Gwendolyn Christie, as most people know, is a huge character in Game of Thrones and knows how to sword fight. So it should be very interesting to watch her do her thing.
I like Phasma. I can't wait to see more. I think I had no problem with her screen time or what she did. The shields thing is a little like, wouldn't she just take a bullet instead? That's my only thing. Other than that, Other than that, I have no problem with her, and I would like to see more. I'd like to do her something. And if they can redeem her for the Shields fiasco in Force Awakens, go for it.
So,
today's news is brought to you by characters that look cool, but are barely in movies.
Ray Park was interviewed recently. Actually, he's going to be in town this weekend for
Toronto
Comic-Con. And he just was talking. The article we read was mostly about just like his experience being this character. I mean, he had no clue. I think he first got his start by being a stand-in for Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which is cool because I've actually seen that movie. I didn't see the first one.
You've never seen the first Mortal Kombat?
No, I think parts. Never fully all the way through. I've watched Annihilation though.
How did you go from? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I haven't watched all of the Street Fighter movie, and somehow I continue to exist.
No, that's different though. Mortal Kombat 1 is amazing.
Street Fighter is better.
The movie? I own the movie Street
Fighter.
Fighter.
Franchise.
I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. Anyway, go on.
So, anyways, he was being interviewed and talking about how he got to where he was and how, like, Darth Maul, he went into Star Wars and not knowing what he was going to be, and then I think his like last interview audition, he was in full makeup, and had no clue what the character was going to be, and then more or less didn't really know the showdown between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan was actually going to happen, and how big of a deal that would have been to the whole universe of Star Wars. And I think that led to him being in the X-Men movie and yada, yada, yada. But he did mention he would love to be in another one, which is obvious. But he said, I think someone asked him the question, it was like, would you be in a Han Solo movie? I'm like, that'd be pretty sweet. But
wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't make sense. Unless, yeah, I don't know. It'd be great, but I don't know.
Maul can't be in anything else.
Yeah, because like, when does Han Solo supposed to occur? Like 20 years prior? Or?
Well, Maul would already be half robot.
Yeah, exactly.
And he can't exist in a movie anymore.
The Empire would be in effect, so Darth Maul wouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Maul's movie days are as sad as it is.
Yeah,
I think his movie days are over. I think his ending is going to come on Rebels, and that's why we're getting the comic book to show us more of what's going on.
Yeah.
I love Darth Maul though. And I would totally be down for a Darth Maul movie with just him not saying anything, talking, and fighting, and sword fighting. Oh my god, that'd be awesome. Darth Maul versus Chirrut Imwe. Hand-to-hand combat in Jeddah.
That'd be interesting.
I would watch it twice. Boom! Books
and comics.
Do you have a comic today?
I sort of do.
Because last week you
totally forgot about this, but yeah, I did read Dr. Aphra issues 1 through 5, and I thought the story would come to an end at issue 5. It does not.
That's what you said last week, yeah.
That's what I thought, because it's usually the case. But the storyline continues into issue 6, which has not come out yet. But it's an interesting series because it's, I would say, arguably the first like series of Star Wars that Marvel as a whole has thought up. Like, she only exists in the Vader comic, and that is new canon. So she's an interesting character. I mean, like I said, it's worth just to see her back and forth between Krishatan and Double Zeros and what's the R2 unit. But like, it's cool. The whole premise is that she loses. She's a doctor because she is an archaeologist. So she's like a evil Indiana Jones. Or not evil, like she's just she does things for money, where Indiana Jones does things for the sake of
museums.
Museums.
It belongs in a museum.
So so that's sort of the premise of it, and then it turns out you meet her dad, and he's following some kind of. It's similar to sort of like the wills or whatever, but it's sort of a force that the Jedi are using. I really should have written it all down, but it's cool. So they go on this journey to find this power source, and it's a really old Jedi thing, so it's sort of like maybe the Jedi that did this was good or maybe it was evil. So they show this storyline at the beginning of one of the issues where it's like it could have been this or it could have been that, because they don't have any information. So they're getting chased by the Empire, of course. They go to Yavin 4, so they're in the Temples of Masai. That's cool. And then they go to this. It's interesting. They go to this, like, it's like a meteor, but there's buildings on it, and they can go on the surface without dying from like not having oxygen. There's oxygen on it. It's crazy. I don't know where it's going, but yeah, again, it's kind of cool. Give it a try. I don't know.
Was it worth reading?
What did you think of Dr. Aphra and the Vader?
I said this before, not much.
It's weird. It's like she's trying to be a sidekick, and now it's like, well, what if we followed the sidekick? And I'm like, why?
I thought it was weird. Like, I understood why they announced the comic, and I guess enough people liked her. I wasn't. I was just kind of like, whatever. And that was my whole feeling. Was just like,
this is gonna sound stupid, but it's her hat that really throws me off.
You said that before, and
she wears it the whole time, more or less. But yeah, I mean, if everyone else is reading it, put out your thoughts on it. I did a terrible review on that, but it's basically what happens is sort of like you get a little bit more of her backstory and this kind of new idea of this Jedi thing, which it's interesting because
it sounds interesting.
This Jedi that the father has been researching turns out to has put his like life force into a robot. So then he's like, hey, here I am. Like, it's like, oh, there's a robot, or not a robot, but like some kind of machine. So that's where like the last issue kind of ends. So maybe that turns into something. I think once we unwrap what that whole thing, maybe it'll be, and I'll bring it back and tell you about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any books and or comics?
I was going to talk about Darth Maul Shadowhunter. It's a good book. It's one of the Darth Maul legends. Oh, okay. It's a legend, so if you just want a nice story about Darth Maul being awesome, kind of like Assassin Underworld of Coruscant and all that. That's a really good book to check out and read. I read that in Cuba a couple of years ago.
Cool.
Just right on the beach. It's a good one. It's a quick read. It's a full book. It's not the short like Saboteur that I mentioned a few weeks ago. But it's a great book. It's a fun book. It's Shadowhunter. I think it's one of I think there are like 2 or 3 Darth Maul Legends books, and this is a fun one.
Yeah.
That I hope the comic I don't want the comic to take away from it, but I hope the comic is as good as this one is. Because I like seeing more Darth Maul. I like knowing what's going on in his mind. And the underworld, of course, sounds really cool. It's cool to see the underworld of Star Wars. And we don't get that enough. And I mean, it's not. I don't want it necessarily at the forefront, but side stories like this, that's where I want to see that.
Right.
So Darth Maul Shadowhunter, check it out. Oh, it's top 5 time.
Top 5, standing by.
Oh my gosh, today's top 5 are top 5 lightsabers.
Ooh-wee. And was this one that was thought up by a subscriber?
I believe it was John Kliegman.
John Kliegman,
thank you for this one. Boom, top 5 lightsabers. So do you want to go first on this one?
Sure. Number 5, the yellow lightsaber from Knights of the Old Republic.
Ooh, yellow.
Which I believe was Bastila's, but I think in that you could just have any color you wanted. This was before there was rules about lightsabers. I felt like that's just a good point to mention because I think Knights of the Old Republic has to come back. So
I think
it was yellow.
It's coming back, and I have my thoughts on that. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Mine is Luke/Obi-Wan's. The green Luke one is the same handle as Obi-Wan's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's why it's a slash. It's the same lightsaber, different color.
Right.
But Luke's was always one of my favorites. I always loved it, and obviously Obi-Wan's Obi-Wan. But Luke, I always like the green one. I got drawn more to blue. The color blue draws me more, but for some reason the green lightsaber, I love the green lightsaber.
Number 4?
Number 4, you go first.
Number 4, Count Dooku's cool.
Oh, what?
It's just red, but I like that it's got the cool
Dooku.
hilts. I like things about him. But I like how, because of that hilt, the way it's shaped, the way he fights, like he kind of holds his, you can't really see it, but he holds his lightsaber like this. It's like, jete. It makes him French. So yeah, I like that one. I mean, it's one of the red ones, so I might mention another red one on this list. I don't know.
I just wrote mine down so that I knew what I was saying.
Okay.
Anakin.
Okay, so then the blue one.
Just a normal standard blue one. I like it. It's nice and clean looking. It's fun. It somehow got a lot bluer as the movies progressed.
Yeah.
But that's my number 4. My number 3 is Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, interesting.
Vader's my number 3. Again, it's red, like you said.
Yep.
Red are cool. Vader has a really cool lightsaber. I really like it. It's black and gray. I like all of them.
I've always liked how, and it's not just her that does it, but Ahsoka's lightsabers. They're typical lightsabers, but she has 2 of them. And just how she holds them and how she works with them. And then, of course, they turn to white or however the actual story turns out. I just like that form. I guess it's not... No, I should say this still works. It's like how you use your lightsaber. So we could easily just pick specific ones, but I'm going to go with that one for number 3.
My number 2?
Yeah.
Count Dooku.
Interesting.
Darth Tyrannus. Yeah, I like the curve that it has and the way he holds it down. And I actually like Count Dooku as opposed to you.
Oh, I didn't say I hated him. I just said he was the worst. Or what was the top 5 worst characters?
5 worst
characters. I didn't say I hated him.
It was brutal. I like his lightsaber. I think it's really cool looking.
Right. Now your number 2 is Darth Maul. Double-ended lightsabers. That, like, just when we saw that in the trailer for Phantom Menace, we're like... I mean, it's similar to what, like, Ahsoka has in a sense, because she's like, oh, 2 lightsabers. That's crazy. It's like, no. They're connected. And it's like a staff. You're like, what? I mean, it just changes how they fight and all together. You could fight,
definitely.
As we saw in Phantom Menace, you could fight 2 Jedi at once.
My number 1, Darth Maul / Rey, the double-sided.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
just
can
Darth
get behind
Maul.
that.
I love Darth Maul's lightsaber. You know I love Darth Maul. So Darth Maul's lightsaber. I recommend a Darth Maul book. I have the only comic other than Darth that I've bought individually is Darth Maul. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I like Darth Maul. I like his lightsaber. That moment in the trailer when he did the double, everyone was like, "What?"
Yeah.
That matters the most. You're number 1.
Number one for me, because I love Return of the Jedi, is Luke's green lightsaber. Because it's his first lightsaber. He puts it together. It's not just some hand-me-down lightsaber. And as we know it, a Jedi needs to create his own weapon. But they didn't know what they were making.
No, that didn't exist when that was a thing.
But I like the green. I like it. It's just unique. I mean, red and blue is great, but we see it so much. Green's kind of... I mean, we do see other green lightsabers.
Well, the prequels, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the green lights... Like I said, there was something about the green that really drew to me when I was younger. I loved that one a lot. So that's our top 5. No Kylo Ren on the list.
No, I think honorable mention Kylo Ren,
me too.
And also the purple...
Yeah, Mace Windu was close.
Windu.
Mace was close. And Kit Fisto. Keep it real,
Just
bro.
because it's Kit Fisto.
Just because he's Kit Fisto. My cat's going to be called Kit Fisto. That is our show for today.
Yep.
That is our 33rd episode.
Wow.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, everyone, for commenting and all that fun stuff that you do. We really like we like engaging with you guys at the end. It's a lot of fun. Please subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And comment. If you want to hear anything, let us know. It's fun. We will talk about what you want us to talk about because we like talking about Star Wars. And there's a lot in Star Wars to cover.
What's the date today?
Well,
it's like exactly like it's the 14th.
It's a month from Celebration.
It's a month from Celebration, and it's like what 10 months to Lost Jedi or Lost
The Lost Jedi is
the Lost Jedi.
What if episode 9 is called The Lost Jedi?
Lost Jedi.
Luke's missing, guys. Again, The Lost Jedi.
Yeah, the movie opens and you see Last, and then it stops, and something goes, and it turns into and they're like, what?
As soon as Rey gets the island, Luke flies away on the Falcon.
We have 10 months till that movie comes out, so we need things to talk about. So definitely throw your ideas out there and tell us why we're right, tell us why we're wrong, tell us why you like this song. I don't know. I just made
the song that is sung on Rebels.
Yup.
Oh my god, I would totally be down for more of that. But anyway, this has been a lot of fun. I'm James. This is Brock. This is the Rebel Scum podcast, episode 33. Signing off, Brock.
Yep.
May the force of others be with you.
Always will it be.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.